Hey everybody, welcome to our early comic review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our big show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that are releasing this week to your local comic book store. So whether you shop at Infinity Flux, which is right where we are, infinityflux.net, or your local comic book store, we're just here to let you know a little bit more about some of the books that are releasing. So when you go to the store, you're not as confused and you're not as scared.
You won't get caught blindsided.
Yeah, Cable blindsides you from the side. You didn't know he was there.
Where'd he come from?
But we've got some awesome books to go over. So just make sure, infinityflux.net, you can go ahead and order these books so you don't have to worry about them. On Wednesday, selling out off the shelf. You'll already have yours either in your pull box or in the mail on your way to you.
On your way to it. On its way to you.
We'll put you in the mail and we'll ship you to the comic.
We'll fly you to the book you want.
But that's, of course, while supplies last. So check infinityflux.net, get your comics, bingo bongo. Okay, let's get into this week's worth of books, and starting off with a pretty fun one.
Yeah, so this is DCKO Green Lantern Galactic Slam #1. This is a DCKO tie-in. It's just a one-shot. This is written by Jeremy Adams. The art is from Cian Tormey and Pat Boutine. And yeah, this issue starts with Kyle Rayner, Connor Kent, Silver Scarab, and Odyssey, who are all from Jeremy Adams' current Green Lantern book. They are fighting a horde of parademons on Earth because we know that the surface of Earth is becoming like a new apocalypse while the tournament is going on in the center of the Earth. But that fight, we only see that for a page or two before this parademon just kind of zooms through, grabs Kyle, who is powerless because he just used his, he just went Super Saiyan and used his White Lantern power, and they fly through this boom tube, and they land on this big starship, which acts as which acts kind of like a headquarters for Wham, which is the it's like the Multiversal Wrestling Federation. I don't remember what Wham stands for. That was in Jeremy Adams' Flash run.
It's like Wrestling Association of the Multiverse.
Yeah, something like that. And when they get actually they don't land on the ship. I'm sorry, they do land in the middle of a Wham match between this guy right here, this purple guy. His name is Omega Bam Man, and he first appeared in Jeremy Adams' run of Flash from a few years ago. He's only ever been in like 3 issues, so he's still a fairly new character. But there's a match going on between that guy and another Wham member named Noxious Ned. And for a couple pages, we get this really cool fight between these intergalactic wrestlers. And then Omega Bam Man and Kyle, that's when they go to this ship, which is the home base, which is the hub for Wham. And they sit down for a meal, and from there, we get Omega Bam Man's origin. Because we never got that when he first appeared in The Flash. We see how he was a kid who was a big Wham fan. And it's not Wham, it's not the George Michael Wham. Let me be clear about that. It's it's an acronym.
It's like WWE.
Yeah, like WWE, but it's WAM. And he was a kid who was inspired to become his own wrestler. He was inspired by another wrestler called Bromega. And he actually worked out, he grew up, and he actually became Bromega's mentee, kind of as an apprentice kind of thing. And, so a lot of this book is Omega Bam Man's origin before it comes back around to Omega Bam Man, which is fun to say, and Kyle trying to figure out how to get back to Earth because Kyle needs to get back and help out because the universe is at stake, right? And so that brings us to another battle near the end that I won't tell you about, but it does help them get back to Earth. So this was, I know that sounds really weird, and it sounds weird that this is a DCKO tie-in. This doesn't contribute anything at all to the tournament. However, it actually does contribute a little bit to what is going on outside of the tournament that I could see having an impact maybe in DCKO #4 or 5 when it comes out. I don't think it's super hugely important for you to read this, but if you see something in DCKO #4, you might be confused. You might be like, hey, when did that happen? Why are all those guys there? And that happened in this. But regardless of how much or how little it contributes, this was still really, really fun. I really like Omega Bam Man. I want to see more of him, and I think we will see more of him in upcoming issues of Green Lantern. We know that Jeremy Adams is kind of changing up that book a bit to focus more on Kyle instead of Hal. So I think we're going to see more of that. But yeah, just a fun book. Great artwork, some good action. And yeah, learn all about a new character, and we'll see where it goes from there. Did you?
Yeah,
like
I
this pretty
really
well?
like this, especially if you're like a wrestling fan. It
Yeah.
definitely plays off. Omega Man is kind of a Hulk Hogan type character, but he's really nice. Like
Yeah.
he takes Kyle with him, and
Mhm.
they have a lot of fun. And he does try to get Kyle like his own wrestling attire, which is really fun to
Yeah.
see. His story arc is very like classic
Yeah.
wrestling storyline. That definitely what you see in his origin does come back into play later on in the book. But it's kind of like Attitude Era
Yeah.
wrestling, which is it's a lot of fun. And I liked the characters. He was like a tag team member with Flash. Flash got
Yeah,
thrown
that's
into one of
right.
these fights during Flash's run, and he does briefly mention
Yeah.
that. But yeah, this is a really fun kind of intergalactic kind of multiversal, because where their like headquarters is kind of in no place at all.
Yeah.
It's moving between time and dimensions and all
Yeah.
that. They go and wrestle on different worlds, and some of the worlds are dying as they're fighting on it. It's epic fights. I could see this kind of being its own. I don't know how it would do as a book, but like I could see really fun like one-off specials with
Oh,
different
sure. Yeah.
characters
Yeah.
joining in this for a
Mhm.
little while. It has some of the same, DCKO flavor, as in it's a combat one-on-one match and
Yeah.
everything. But like you said, it does have a pretty, you're reading the whole thing. I mean, what could this, it feels
Oh.
very disconnected. And then by the end, you're like, oh wow, that's actually like kind of it's a big deal to what the characters in the story are going to how that's going to change kind of the landscape of the next few issues of DCKO.
Yeah.
That I do think will be referenced of like looking up and be like, oh wait, that's kind of a
Yeah.
cavalry's here
Right.
type
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
So I really like this. I think this is a lot like a lot of the other DCKO books where it's like, is it necessary? No. But if you're in this just to have a fun and see
Yeah.
some fun fights, there's a lot of really great over the top fights in this. It's more of that. You just want to
Yeah.
see characters, knocking each other across planets. It's another one of those.
Yeah, yeah, super fun. It's a lot like the DCKO boss battle book that's coming out in a couple of weeks. Not super hugely important to DCKO, but it's fun. And we recommend this and that one too when
Yep.
it comes out. But yeah, really fun book. And again, I really like Omega Man. I want more of him. There's our 8 cover right here, and we have this really nice Gillum March variant, which looks great. We have the one that I pre-ordered. That is the Juan Ferreira kind of like 16-bit video game cover. It's sideways, but yeah, I really like that one too.
Yeah, and we were saying Omega Man really needs to go up against Lobo.
Yeah.
I think they would just get along really great.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Well, next up, I've got a pretty big one from Marvel. This is Inglorious X-Force #1, another from Shadows of Tomorrow. I still want to say
Yeah.
From the Ashes, but no, we're in
I keep
the
wanting to say Shadows of Colossus for the video game.
Yeah, Cable's got to climb up a big giant
Yeah.
back. But I've been looking forward to this one because this involves a lot of characters I really like. So this is by Tim Seeley and Michael Sta Maria. And this does give you a lot of the flavor of classic X-Force, which is really nice. Sans Deadpool, he's not in this, but this is kind of harkens back even in story to a lot of classic X-Force stuff, which I think is a really good direction for it. So this does begin in the future. Of course, Cable bouncing around through time, always something going on when he's
Yeah.
there. And we see that he has kind of arrived a little too late at a big event. We find out it was the first mutant president. I don't know, is their inauguration? I think it was.
Was he? Yeah, I wasn't sure. Like,
Or just a speech or something.
yeah, some kind of public event.
But the first mutant president was assassinated, and he was just a little too late there. Immediately, he's thrown back in time to what we learn is kind of present day Marvel. But when he gets there, he doesn't know his kind of AI system that is, his uh, basically talks to him and helps him time travel and all that, not working. And he does think he's got a little bit of like chronal amnesia. So he kind of has to find his bearings. And
wow, very nice. They didn't mention that specifically, that term, but very nice.
Do they not? I thought
no.
they did. But he mentions that that something like that may have happened. But there is something interesting. I won't say where, but there is a list of names he finds, and it's these characters on the cover. It's Angel, it's Helverine, it's Boom Boom, and he figures I need to find these people because they're very important to what is going on. Now, that you'll have to return to that later about what is this list of names. But if he's going to prevent this future mutant president who is going to unite humanity and mutants, he's going to need to stop that before it happens. Also, maybe try to find the person who does do the assassination in that attempt. So he's going to build this X-Force team. That's only about half the issue. I don't want to tell you about the second half because you do find out who this future president is going to be.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big deal for the book. But I do feel like going forward, maybe that's going to be part of the story, but it does seem like they're going to have some other adventures as well.
Yeah.
With this new X-Force team.
Yeah, I think, this, because it's supposed to be an ongoing, right?
So.
This first story arc is going to be about this story, but yeah, they'll go on and do some other things too. Yeah, there's a part where they go after some like Gen Alpha influencer mutant kids, and for a minute I was like, am I really reading the X-Force book about X-Force going after some influencer kids? But if you keep reading, there's a very specific reason why they do it, and it does make sense and it works. So, don't I was really kind of turned up. I was like, oh man, this is kind of weird, but anybody could have taken out these kids, but there is a very specific reason.
Yeah.
And yeah, totally makes sense. And
yeah, and a lot of this book is, I would say the majority of this book is putting the team together.
Yeah.
So Cable going to these different ones. So what Angel/Archangel is doing with his his Worthington business, going to find Helverine in Japan, and the best one is finding Boom Boom, who of course was on the classic X-Force team, and they have a great scene together with Cable and Boom Boom. So I really like this cast of characters they pulled together. I like this version of Cable because it's a little bit back to basics for him. Even so much as he finds some of his old armor and puts it on,
which is straight out of X-Force, like old school X-Force.
So I love that. There is tons of like harkening to classic X-Force stuff back in Cable's time. So yeah, if you like that, this isn't quite your Uncanny X-Force, your Remender Uncanny X-Force book. But I would like to see where this goes if this team is allowed to kind of grow and keep with the story, because I think it's a great setup for future fun stories. It's not quite as like over the top mature graphic as X-Force can be sometimes. But you never know where this will go, because this is definitely a setup issue for all of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing maybe another member or two join the team at some point, because it does feel a little bit weird that X-Force only has 4 members, because back in the day there was like 6 or 7 or something like that. So it feels a little bit small still. But if they throw, bring back Shatterstar, throw him back on the team or something like that. And
there is a moment where Boom Boom even kind of mentions like, do you want to go get these other guys? I know where all these people are. And it's like, yeah, that would be really cool to see some of them back. So yeah, if you are a fan of X-Force, definitely try it out. I'm a big Cable fan, so I'm always happy to see him in here, and he's written really well, and he's definitely got that classic Cable vibe. He's just always in the literally wrong place at the wrong time. But yeah, so here is your A cover. We also have a couple of variants for this one. So we've got the Mana variant, which I really like that one. We've got... Oh, that's the only one I have.
Oh.
Sorry.
Surprise.
Gotcha.
Fooled you.
Bait and switch.
All right, well, we're going to stick with the Shadows of Tomorrow era, and we're going to talk about Psylocke Ninja #1. This is written by Tim Seeley. The art is by Nico Leon. And this series takes place immediately following Uncanny X-Men #251 from back in the mid to late 80s. So this is not a current day book. This is one of the like a retro series that Marvel likes to put out. And so part of this issue does deal with the whole Betsy Braddock becoming Betsy Braddock in Quanon's body and becoming Psylocke and that kind of thing. But it doesn't happen the way I remember it. I even went and opened up the omnibus last night that actually has those original issues in there. And the way it happens in there, the way it happened originally, it's different here. So it seems like maybe they're retconning a little bit how Betsy Braddock went from who she was to this form. Seems like maybe they're trying to retcon and maybe like simplify it a little bit because it was a little bit confusing. I've always had a little bit of a tough time just like sort of making heads or tails of exactly how that all happened. So it does feel like they're doing a little bit of retconning, but that's not what the series is about. That's only about part of the book. And then, you know, once you're past all that, the Hand, who Psylocke worked for a while, they send her to eliminate this other group of mystical martial artists called the Chaste. I believe that's how you say it, Chaste. And they live on top of this like big giant mountain, and she has to climb up this mountain and then face off against this group of martial artists. And there's only like 7 of them there, and each one seems to have their own specialty. You know, one's like a blade guy, there's like a fire guy, that kind of thing. So, you know, there's a showdown between Psylocke and these other ninjas, and they're going to get help from another very well-known Marvel Comics martial artist, and we'll see more of that in the second issue. The third issue is going to bring in Wolverine and Jubilee, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
Like Wolverine, Jubilee, Madripoor, like that late 80s X-Men era, which I'm really excited to see come back in here with Psylocke. And then, of course, the other character that's going to pop up next issue, too. So, yeah, this is kind of a setup for what this mini-series is going to be. But it does sort of, you know, it harkens back to, like, what I think of as classic Psylocke, you know, the Psy Blade and the purple leotard and all that stuff. Like, this is classic Psylocke taking place back then. So, Psylocke fans, you're definitely going to want to check this one out. There's our A cover right there, and we got some nice variants. This is a Villalobos variant. We have this Scotty Young variant. We have a Art Germ variant. And we have this nice Daikruan foil variant. This is not an incentive, but this is, we are selling this one for $9.99 because the foils are just a little bit more expensive. And we do have this 1 in 25 Nogi-san variant that we're selling for $19.99.
And we're still not done with the new X books because we have Rogue #1. Yes, they release multiple new X-Men #1 books in 1 week. Rogue #1 by Erica Schultz and Luigi Zangaria. And this does take place in current day Marvel continuity. Rogue is with the other mutants in Haven House, all of that kind of stuff. But in this, we find Rogue, Gambit, along with Death Dream, and is the other guy's name is Chance? Is that what it
Ransom.
is? Ransom. Okay.
The guy with the mat.
Yeah, and Ransom. And they are at an airport in Louisiana that is getting attacked by a giant possum.
A giant mutated possum. Yeah.
And I love that. And I love that there's no explanation for how this happened. And I don't really need that nor want that. I just,
it's not important.
It's not important. It's just a great like set piece for a lot of this stuff to happen at. So that's really fun. But during this, you get a lot of Rogue reflecting on her past and you know, seeing these other kids and kind of thinking about her past and like, oh yeah, I was with the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants for a while, and you know, I don't look back at that longingly, but I look back at that like, wow, like I wish I had made some different choices there. But she's got some great moments with Gambit during that. They love each other. That's all really fun. But as part of a building is falling and they're trying to get all the citizens out, there is one citizen there that she kind of looks down and has a moment with where it sparks something in her memory, and suddenly she's having this kind of daydream flashback to a first-person perspective of her basically attacking this guy, and in the background is Destiny and Mystique, and there's a lot of questions like, what is this? And it doesn't end there. After she gets back, you know, she talks to Gambit a little bit about it, but then she goes to sleep and has a dream with that same scene again. but a little bit more expanded. You see more of the room they're in, and you start piecing it together. And I don't want to say what she's seeing, like
Well, she doesn't even really
she
know
doesn't
what
really
she's
know,
seeing. Yeah.
but she does know whose eyes she's looking out
Yeah.
of, and that's kind of a fun reveal. But this is becoming more and more disturbing to her, especially because at one point, you know, as she absorbs people's powers, all that, she does get some of their memories. But at one point, Xavier kind of wiped that out of her. Kind of did a hard memory bank
Yeah.
reset.
Yeah.
So she didn't just have that compounded memories in there. So she's like, this shouldn't be happening, and I don't remember this. I don't know how I'm seeing this, and it's like very bothersome.
Yeah.
And she thinks the only way I'm going to get to the bottom of this is go and see Mystique and Destiny and get answers for this moment. But what she doesn't realize is maybe she is uncovering something that everyone wants to keep hidden, some dark past, something that they are not proud of, or some moment. There's even some hints of like a secret organization that might be involved. So that's all really interesting, and it definitely is setting up an interesting mystery going forward, where Rogue is kind of learning some of her past that maybe she didn't even know she had. And it's seems like going to deal a lot with her time being maybe a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and all of that. So yeah, this was fun. I really like. I love Rogue. Rogue's one of my favorite X-Men characters, so having Rogue and Gambit in there is really fun. We have some more stuff with Deathstream in there, where she kind of sympathizes with him, but also wonders if maybe he has something to do with these dreams she's having. So it is like if you're reading Uncanny X-Men, you're going to see a lot of familiar faces in here. But if you're not reading those, I think you could definitely pick this up and go with it.
Yeah.
Because after that, Rogue is going to be out on her own on this kind of journey she's going to be going on. So this was really fun. The art was good. Giant possum fight is always a plus. More
Right.
books need that.
More giant mutated possums, please.
So there is your A cover. And we also have this Lyrics variant.
All right, so let's talk about Captain America #6. This is one I've been sort of anticipating because this kind of it's supposed to start planting seeds for the Armageddon event that's coming this June. Although I'll go ahead and tell you that after reading this, we still don't really know. We don't have any better of an idea about what Armageddon's going to be. So we'll have to wait longer to see that. So this is obviously from Chip Zdarsky. The art is from Delio Diaz and Frank Alpizar. And start of a brand new story arc. This is set in modern day Marvel Universe, not in the past like the first story arc was. And it does deal heavily with the aftermath of One World Under Doom, which I really appreciate because it's not one of those, like, it shows that One World Under Doom isn't one of those wedding dress events, as Mark Waid likes to call. Like, the event's over, but there are still ramifications, which Marvel hasn't always been the best about. You know, a lot of times they'll do an event, it'll be over, and then it's never brought up again ever. But no, One World Under Doom has lasting effects, and we see a lot of that in here. There's not really any action. There's a little bit maybe at the end, but there's not really any action, but there's still a lot going on in this book. So basically, there are 3 groups in Latveria, 3 different factions that now that Doctor Doom is gone, they are all vying to be the head honcho in Latveria, basically.
And you see a lot of that in the Dungeons of Doom book as well.
Well, but that's weird because it's different factions. In the Dungeons of Doom, it was the American military and Latvian resistance and Hydra.
Yeah.
But this book, it's not those groups. It's 3 different groups.
You do get the idea that people are vying for
Oh, yeah. I mean, like Doom. Yeah, you definitely get the idea that Doom has left a huge power vacuum. Yeah. Now everybody's wanting to be that. Well, Doom left behind a whole bunch of various types of weapons of mass destruction. There's missiles, and we're seeing some of that in the
some weirder stuff.
Yeah, weirder stuff. We're seeing that in the Dungeons of Doom book, which actually does get a brief mention in here. So nice job tying all that together. And a lot of the nations around the world are very nervous that these factions, some of whom are not so noble, I guess you could say, they're worried that these guys are going to get their hands on all of these weapons that Doom had, and they'll basically become the next Doom, and we don't want that. So Nick Fury Jr. actually reaches out to Steve Rogers and wants him to wants him to join up with his new his new version of Shield, which right now seems kind of small.
I was
But
about to say it feels more like a team than a
yeah,
than
it
a
doesn't. Yeah, it
big
doesn't really
thing.
feel like an organization. It feels kind of like GI Joe because Nick Fury, and you can see them on the cover here. There's like he has like these 4 or 5 different highly trained operatives that each seem to have their own specialization. So it kind of feels GI Joe in that way. And Nick Fury wants Steve to join them to go into Latveria and retrieve those weapons. And Steve has to think about it a bit, and then he agrees to do that. He finally agrees to join up with them to sort of like go get those weapons and maybe help calm some tensions in Latveria, that kind of thing. So there's another added element of General Thunderbolt Ross and the U.S. government because they want to go into Latveria. And how do they put it? They want to install a proper democracy. But you get the hint that maybe General Ross has a little bit more of a nefarious plan in mind as well. Maybe he wants to do something a little bit different with Latveria. And he's the Red Hulk, so he has the power to do it too,
He's got a
right?
little chip on his shoulder after all the events in Red Hulk, which
Absolutely.
turns out to be one of the most important books of any
Yeah, which
of
like,
that.
hey, this was a fun book as I was reading it. Oh shoot, wait, that was actually really important
Yeah.
to everything that's coming up now. So lot of moving parts going on, but basically, like I said, it involves like going into Latveria, sort of quelling the unrest there, getting the weapons out of the hands of some bad guys who want to take over the country. But maybe Ross and the U.S. government, maybe they don't have the best of intentions for Latveria either. And all of this is eventually going to come to a head in some way. Again, this is supposed to lead into the Armageddon event, but we don't know how. We don't know what that means yet. This story arc should end right around the time that Armageddon starts in June, so that'll be interesting to continue to read this to see what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I really like this a lot. Like I said, there's not a lot of action, but based on how this issue ends, I think we could see some really nice action next issue. But with all the moving parts and all the different players and who's doing what and there's secrets and what is their real motive and that kind of thing, like I think this is going to shake out to be a really really cool story. So yeah, if you've been reading Captain America, this is every bit as good as the rest of the series has been so far. If you're interested in the Armageddon event, you could get in on the ground floor with that here.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like you had to have read the previous
Not
issues.
at all. No.
This kind of feels like a new start.
Yeah.
To it for new reader friendly.
Yeah, if you didn't read the first 5 issues but want to read this, you can 1,000,000% jump on right here. I recommend going back later and reading those 5 issues, but those are not necessary for this right here. It's really cool. I'm very, very, very excited for where this is going to go, and I feel like this is going to be a big story that ends up like blowing up in some big way. So that is our A cover right there, and we have this Chip Zdarsky variant. Still feeling the effect. Yeah, Doom Shadow. I mean, that's a lot of what this is like. This is the Delio Diaz variant, so that's your interior artist or one of them. All right, so this is the 1 in 10 of Valerio Schiti design variant. So that is one of your. Does it have the name on here? I don't remember their name. Joe Ramos. So that's kind of what you're dealing with these
I
new
don't know
Shield
if he has
agents.
a call sign or anything.
I think they just called him Ramos. Yeah. But so that's they all kind of sort of look like they have their own specialization. So that's one of them right here. And we have this 1 in 25 David Baldion variant that we're selling for $14.99. You can kind of see those special agents there too. Red Widow is one of them.
So I'd say not all of them are new.
Not
Some
all of them are new,
in
yeah.
other series.
But a lot of them are new. I should mention that too. So this is the first appearance of most of those characters, and also the first cameo appearance of a new villain called Salvation, who is going to play a part in this too. So some first appearances in here, and the start of potentially a big, great story.
Well, let's swing back over to DC and another DCKO tie-in. This is Titans number 31, and this was another really fun tie-in. I've really liked the Titans ones because I feel like that's the most on the ground of not what's going on in the tournament, but what's going on Earth.
Yeah, this is the series that has given us our best look at what's going on outside the tournament.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, and I really like this because I feel like this is actually doing more than. A couple of years ago, they tried to position the Titans as like the new Justice League.
Yeah,
I feel like they're doing more of that here than they did during that story. But the Titans have been disbanded because they each kind of took a couple of ships or whatever or portals or however of civilians off of Earth and are kind of watching over them to various different places, including Gem World, is where we see Nightwing, and Nightwing is having to face off against Jinx in Gem World. They each kind of have their own little like mini adventure wherever they ended up. Starfire is on uh, Tamaran, or
Is she in Tamara?
I thought that's where she was because she's with Blackfire.
That's right. Yeah.
I think they took some there, but the majority of this actually takes place on what's left of Earth with Donna Troy and Roy Harper. And at this point, they don't know that Cyborg is out of the fight, so they're still kind of like hoping that he's doing all right. But there's a quick look at him as a stone statue on the side.
They're like, I hope he's doing okay, and then it cuts to just this, you know.
But it's a big deal, I mean, for Donna and Roy. And Donna kind of does the narration through the issue because Grail, the daughter of Darkseid, has arrived along with all the other parademons and apocalyptian denizens that are there. But they're facing off against Grail. And a lot of this issue is just a big fight between them. And it's pretty scary because Grail is definitely much stronger than them. But she's kind of also an equal of Donna because she is also part Amazonian. And there's kind of this mirror thing there with them that's really interesting, but she's there to kind of herald Darkseid's return. And that's the majority of the issue, is them facing Grail and things just getting worse and worse. We also see Raven, who is trying to convince Terra to join them and help out in the fight in Gem World. Which, of course, there's always something with Terra going on with the Titans. But this was a really fun issue. There's not a whole lot extra to say about it other than, you know, this is just them trying to hold back the tide as long as they can, hoping that the tournament ends and everything's okay.
Which, you know, a little bit of a missed opportunity to not tie this in with the Green Lantern Galactic Slam.
Yeah.
Because there is something that happens in that they could have then put in this.
Yeah.
That they would have
been a cool like final moment of that.
Because I read this immediately after that, wondering if they actually did do that. So they didn't, but maybe we'll see that in DCKO number 4 or something.
An interesting thing is how long is the tournament that's going on actually taking?
Yeah.
Because initially they like basically stopped time. Because that's how it was going to pick the next person to be, you know, to have all the Omega energy. And I thought it was all taking place like in an instant. But apparently it's taken a little while with them.
Well, you know, it's not just, I guess it's not just the turn. Like, you know, the world is, well, you're right though. They slowed time. I don't know. That's a little bit weird.
Because when it I guess it's in the rebooting phase of it. But all that being said, great issue of Titans. Pete Woods, great artist on here. John Layman's doing an awesome job. Got our A cover here. We also have this Brad Walker variant with Raven and Terra. And we have this Derek Chew variant with Grail.
That's nice.
That's really nice.
All right, going back to Marvel, we've got Fantastic Four number 7, which is the Invincible Woman Part 2. And at the end of last issue, Fantastic Four decoded a message from Galactus that said, "Find Susan Storm." And so they figure, well, shoot, if he sent that to us and he encoded it and whatever, Galactus may be in trouble and needs our help. We got to go help him. So they start building this ship. They figure that he's like in the far, far reaches of space. So they start building a ship that can actually make it that far so they can help him. And they're nervous about leaving the kids and Alicia behind because they feel like if we decoded that message, maybe some other unsavory characters decoded it too. And maybe that's going to make them want to come here to find Sue Storm. So we're nervous about leaving the kids behind. So what they do is Reed actually builds these like, it's almost like a watch. Like they build these like teleporting units and they reach out to a handful of different heroes to say, would you mind taking this teleporter, and if our kids need you, you can basically just smash it.
The kids can hit it.
Oh, the kids can hit it, yeah.
Hit it and bring the heroes there.
Bring the heroes to the kids if they're in trouble, and you know, some heroes volunteer for that. So
it's really fun because they each kind of go to like their friend heroes and do that. So you get a really cool mix of heroes.
Yeah, it's neat. So, you know, the Fantastic Four, they get in their ship, they head off to space, and that's the last we see of them in this issue. But they were right to be worried because there is a villain who attacks the kids in Alicia, and so they do have to utilize these teleporting bands to call in help. But there's a little bit more to it than that. I don't want to tell you what it is because that's the best part of the issue is seeing all of that play out. But yeah, it's just really cool. Like I will say there is a really nice moment with Ben Grimm. He has a bit that he narrates that's really, really cool, and it does sort of influence what happens near the end of the book too. So just another amazing issue of Fantastic Four. This whole run has been great. Still not really sure how the Invincible Woman is going to come into play. I feel like maybe they needed to establish, what's going to happen with the kids. Let's go ahead and establish all of that so that the rest of the story arc we can focus on the Fantastic Four out in space. Maybe that's it. But this has been I love this run. This has been a cool story so far.
Yeah, this is probably my pick of the week for my favorite single issue. There's a awesome final moment in it that's like, I really want to see what happens here because that kind of opens up a lot of really fun possibilities.
Yeah.
The stuff with Ben, it's not only just cool, but a lot of this book has reflected just how good of people that the Fantastic Four are.
Yeah.
And why they have friends.
Yeah.
And everything. And that's really fun.
And like how much, like how and why they're respected and all that stuff.
Yeah. And you see some behind the scenes stuff that's just really nice.
Yeah.
On top of just some really cool action and everything.
Humberto Ramos's art is great for this. I love it. I love everything about it.
There's a character that Ramos draws in here that it's not Spider-Man, but it's a character that I back in the day was reading a book that he was drawing and he drew this character, and to see him draw that character again, I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's Ramos's version of that character. So you get some of that kind of stuff, and you get a cool team up moment and everything.
Yeah, this is my number 2 pick of the week behind Captain America, but this is a wonderful issue. The whole run has been.
That's why this was our last year's pick of favorite Marvel book of the year, and it continues to prove why that is.
It's on its way to being this year's best too.
Yeah, it's up there as the best. So
far,
highly recommend Fantastic Four. Is the trade of the first volume's out?
I believe so.
So if you can catch up on it, because I think people will really enjoy this.
Highly recommended. Highest recommendation possible. All right, so that's our A cover with Sue Storm. We do have a Scotty Young cover, and there's another Scotty Young cover next issue with like a full body Malice. So I guess that's going to come into play at some point.
It definitely feels like they're teasing now.
Yeah.
I thought first issue we would know about this.
Yeah,
but
not so far. Nothing.
Maybe that makes this story arc seem even bigger.
Yeah.
That it's like we know that Malice is coming, but we don't know.
Don't know when or how. Yeah. This is the Joe Jusko variant with the Fantastic Four and Ben Grimm.
Twice.
And that's it. That's all that we got.
Well, next up I have our next new book from Ignition Press. This is Bloodland #1. This is by B. Claymore and Mac Chater. And this is a little hard to talk about because, not to say I didn't fully understand it, but it does, you're kind of thrown into the middle of something and you're not quite sure, just like some of the characters in it, exactly what's going on. One character in particular really doesn't know what's going on. So you're kind of there with them. A lot of the information I got what the overall series is from the back of the book and the solicitation for it. But what you do see in here is the U.S. President, Andrew Cross, this says on the back, but we don't hear a lot about it, is deep into an unconstitutional extended term, seized and shielded by executive orders, martial law, and alliance. And this is the big part, an alliance with an ancient European vampire cult called the White Cell. And so that's a lot what this book is about, is how did these vampires kind of
like worm their way into the government?
We don't know in this like kind of where they came from, how they got involved, how much people know about vampires.
I feel like there'll be maybe like a flashback issue or something.
Yeah, because you see the meeting with the president and like the lead vampire, and they're like, okay, we set you up a place to stay and all of this.
Yeah, we set everything up the way you asked us to. So that relationship has already been established by the time this book starts.
But I don't know if does just regular people know vampires exist.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Some of them do, I think.
Some of them find out real fast.
Yeah.
But we mostly follow some individual characters, like one woman who has just given birth to a baby, but it seems like they've been doing some kind of experiments. And
That whole sequence is pretty horrifying.
it's pretty
Actually.
horrifying, and she kind of blacks out and comes back. It feels very like beginning of Walking Dead, where Rick
Yeah.
wakes up in the
Uh-huh.
hospital and is walking around being like, "How long have I been
Yeah.
out? What's going
Yeah.
on?"
28 days later.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
leads to some pretty horrifying things. And so what this definitely feels like, it's kind of a horror political book. So a lot of the stuff like this actiony cover and stuff that doesn't really happen in here. But you do see that, you know, maybe bringing the vampires in was not a great thing, and it's pretty scary for those involved. It's kind of hard in here to tell who is a vampire and who is not. They do have a little bit of like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer vampire moment where they do get a little scarier looking, but you don't know in general, like, is the people around you vampires? Um, so yeah, a lot of this was the setup of all of this. You do see that there's some resistance to the vampires, but that's, you know, very brief in it. It's just kind of setting the scene for what's to come. So interesting first issue, but it feels like there is a big story here
Mhm.
to unfold. So here is your A cover. We have this Mitten variant with Nosferatu. He is not in this, but I sure hope he comes into
Oh, that would be
play.
great though.
And then we also have this 1 in 10 Andrea Sorrentino variant that we're selling for $9.99.
All right, moving on to Hulk Smash Everything #2. The first issue was a lot of fun, and this one is too. So, in the last issue, the leader sent the Hulk back to prehistoric times. Um, and that issue ended with the giant asteroid hurtling toward Earth. The asteroid that like wipes out all of all of prehistoric life. And it hits at the very beginning of this issue. That asteroid makes contact with Earth, wipes out all the dinosaurs, but it does not wipe out the Hulk. It injures him. It actually injures him pretty
Yeah.
big. And when I was reading that, I was like, oh, so that's how you hurt the Hulk. You drop a giant planet-ending meteor on
It
top
does
of it.
burn his pants off.
It really, yeah, and his hair, and
his
it burns
hair.
some of his skin, right? And it describes how it hurts him too. Like, oh, it burns his skin, sloughs off, and his nerves. Each one of
Yeah.
them regenerate, and it causes him immense pain. But all of that pain makes him very angry. And when he gets angry, he wants to smash things. And all I'll say is that all of his smashing, I won't tell you how, you'll understand why when you read it, but all of that smashing does have an adverse effect on the present day. And so the leader has to stop that because otherwise the present day is going to be wildly different than it is now. So the leader has to do something even more drastic to prevent what the Hulk's doing in the past from affecting the present day. So just
Yeah,
another.
I know the solicitation early on said Hulk smashes history.
Yeah.
And that does make sense in this issue.
Yep. So it's very ridiculous in the best way possible. This is not connected to anything else. Don't try to rationalize this with the current Hulk or the current Infernal Hulk book. Nothing like that. This is its own story. But it's a lot of fun, and Hulk sure does smash a lot of things.
And the next issue, he keeps getting dropped in moments of like, well, he's not getting out of this.
Yeah, they keep getting more and more ridiculous.
I can't wait to see how he fights what he's up against in the next one, because you can't, but he's gonna find a way.
He'll do it anyway. So this is our A cover, and that's the only one we have.
I think this book could just go on forever.
Oh yeah,
because like just whatever you want him to smash.
Whatever you want to do, yeah, just make him smash it.
Well, next up, I have Amazing Spider-Man issue number 20. Now, we have pretty much wrapped up with our Spider-Man in space story. I think that comes back, at least Peter comes back in like 20 issues.
22, yeah.
In 22. So we're going to be focusing on Norman as the main Spider-Man on Earth for a little while. But this issue has John Romita Jr. returning as artist on most of the book, but the last couple of pages are split between Paco Diaz and Todd Knock, which looks awesome when they do the art on that. But most of this issue is Norman fighting the new Goblin Slayers and him learning who is behind the new Goblin Slayers, which we know who it is, but we get the reasons. He finds out the reasons why all of that is going on. thankfully, some of the other spiders are there to help, like Miles and Gwen and Silk and all of them, kind of the ones we've saw in previous issues. They all come to help, but the spider slayers are so overwhelming that it's really hard for them. They're not gaining any ground, and that's when Norman thinks these spiders are great, but they do need some leadership. I guess especially since Peter's not there to kind of help them along. And we do know because of a not it would not even a solicitation, but like a an announcement of a new book
press release,
coming out called Spider-Versity. That Norman thinks that he's going to take all these spider students under his wing and be the leader that they need.
So I don't.
Yeah,
I don't love it. I don't love it, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Gwen has been a spider person for a really long time.
Yeah.
Miles has grown up. They've all been spider people longer than Norman has been a spider person.
Right.
But I do think his idea is maybe they don't know how to fight goblins.
Well, that's what I was thinking. What I think would be cool is that, maybe Norman can feel himself slipping back into the goblin persona, and he's like, I want to train them on how to fight me so that when I do go back to that, they'll know how to do it. I don't think that's what it's going to be, but that would be kind of the only thing that makes me feel confident about it.
I do really hope that they mouth off to Norman at some point and be like, who are you to tell us how to do this? We've been doing this much longer than you. And you also don't have powers and we do. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
He's strong.
He's strong, but he's not as good at web swinging,
right?
Whipping. But it is interesting, and especially those last couple pages were really cool in this. But yeah, we are getting very close to Death Spiral.
Yep.
Coming up in just a couple of issues.
Yeah.
I think the FOC for that is maybe next week.
So yeah, 22 is the last issue before Death Spiral starts.
Yeah.
So like issue 22 is going to come out. Then there's going to be like a Death Spiral Alpha issue a little bit after that. And then from there, for the next month or two, Amazing Spider-Man will be in the Death Spiral.
Yeah.
Along with Venom and Carnage as well.
Yeah. This fight doesn't happen in this issue.
Oh.
He mostly just fights computer-headed robots. But yeah, so here is your A cover. We have this amazing Libramejo Amazing Visions variant with Juggernaut.
That's the one I pre-ordered.
I love that. And we also have this 1 in 25 Ben Sue variant. We're selling for $14.99 with Hobgoblin. Or almost Demogoblin. Hobgoblin doesn't have the wings, but I don't know.
All right, so one of my favorite books on the stands. This is Gunpowder Prophets number 4. This is sadly the next to last issue, but hopefully there'll be another volume at some point. And so in this one, America, not the girl, not the country. America tries to get away from all of the craziness that was happening last issue. She sneaks out that, it's like a... there all these bikers are surrounding the police station they're in. So she sneaks out the window to try to get away from it. But in doing that, she gets snatched by this big trucker named Straker. And he knows who America is and that she's special. And so he wants to set up an auction to sell her. And there's a bunch of different groups that show up because these other groups, which sound, like selling a girl at an auction sounds horrible, but these other groups who are trying to buy her, they know that she's also very special. They know that she has like some supernatural, she has an affinity for the supernatural because of who her parents are. So they're trying to snatch her up from this auction. But of course, Huck and Marley intervene. And in a great scene. But the journey's not over yet. There is still something that happens at the end that's going to lead us into the final issue. But yeah, this is just another, I love this series, 70s grindhouse buddy cop kind of thing, supernatural elements in it. It's a wonderful series, and hopefully they do get like a second volume at some point. Excuse me. A little choked up because it's almost over.
Oh.
So this is our A cover right here, and it's the only one. It's the only one that we have, but it's also the only one that they made.
That's the only copy they made of that book.
That's it. This is the one right here. You can't have it. It's mine.
Well, next up, we have Planet She-Hulk number 3. This just continues a lot of the story that was set up in the previous ones. In this, we saw at the end of the last one that they are getting attacked by things called wild bots, which are actually kind of like techno-organic giant robots. And there's the two, like, the king whose queen was killed, and he's blaming someone on it, but that person who is from kind of the gladiatorial pits didn't do it, but blames the other guy. And She-Hulk is caught right in the middle of this. She-Hulk does confront the warrior from the Thousand Eye group. That's kind of who they originally thought was behind the killing of the queen. And yeah, that's most of it. Is her kind of we jumping back and forth between the two sides, seeing them kind of blame the other side. She-Hulk trying to step in and be like the mediator to it. But the ending of this, I'm very interested, especially if you read the previous run of Hulk or She-Hulk, because there's a character that shows up. It's not a spoiler; it's on the next cover, but I need some explanation for that because that was a really good part of that other one, and I'm scared.
It is cool because, one side, well, both sides are, one side's blaming the other side. So now that one that's being blamed, they actually reach out to She-Hulk to essentially be their lawyer and say, hey, I need you to defend me in court for all intents and purposes, even though it's not going to be like how we know it because it's on an alien planet. But that's what she's going to have to do. She's a million miles from Earth and she can't get away from court. But she still has to defend somebody.
Yeah, so it's a fun issue. Not like a huge crazy stuff happening, but there's a lot of action in it, and yeah, real fun. We've got our A cover here, and we have this Paco Medina variant, and we have this Jacopo variant that we're selling for $14.99.
Oops,
I did it this time.
You're first. All right, so next up, I've got X-Men of Apocalypse #2. And at the very end of last issue, the Age of Apocalypse X-Men actually traveled back in time to the very, very earliest days of the X-Men, the original X-Men, Cyclops, Angel, Iceman, Beast, Marvel Girl, those guys. They did that because they need something, so they need some information that's locked deep inside of Jean Grey's mind. Even she doesn't know that it's there, but they do. But of course, they can't just knock on the door and ask for this information. There has to be a big fight between the Age of Apocalypse X-Men and the classic original X-Men, which is a lot of what this issue is. Now, Nate Gray does eventually get to talk to Jean and enter her mind to try to get this information, but maybe he doesn't like what he finds when he's in her head. And so that's part of it too, but I don't want to spoil that for you. But yeah, I love the artwork. This has been a fun series. It's always fun to revisit the Age of Apocalypse era. The artwork's great. There is some good fighting in this, some good action. So yeah, it feels like it's been a while since the first one came out, though. Like maybe this one's not coming out on a regular monthly basis, but a little bit more than that. So if you got the first two issues, don't miss #2 here. That's our A cover. And we have this Mark Brooks animated style variant. Too bad Age of Apocalypse Cyclops is not in this.
I know. Him and his luscious hair.
Yeah. This is the Swaby variant with Mystique, who is not in this. I love this one, the Joe Mad Blink variant. She's not in this either, right? Or no, she is. Blink is in this. And then we do have the 1 in 25 Russell Dodderman variant that we're selling for $24.99. Nice homage to, I don't remember the issue, but it's an homage cover.
Next up, a series I'm really enjoying right now is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Battle Nexus #3. This big tournament between the different realities of Ninja Turtles. So this one is because the whole thing is done by a bunch of different writers, kind of plotted it, but each issue is scripted by a different one. And a different artist for each issue. So this one's by Sophie Campbell, who is your writer on Supergirl right now. And the art is by Victor Kafagi. And in this, you see on the cover are kind of what our main thing is here. But we do get the backstory on Ninjara, who was the kind of the Red Fox that was in the first one, who seems to be working for the big bad guy. But we do learn why that is in here, which was a really fun kind of jump back to her world and everything. But the main plot of this is Raph versus Alopex, and they were in a relationship for a long time. It didn't end well. Alopex is not too happy with Raphael, but can people who once loved each other, work together in this fight? You'll have to read it to find out. And the next issue I'm really excited for, which is Donatello versus
Yeah,
Metalhead,
yeah.
and that's going to be great. Plus, there is that little backup comic at the end of this one that has the. Is it the? I forgot what year the.
Isn't there a variant cover of it?
Yeah, it's the these turtles, the ones that people were mad at for a long time because they had different weapons, but the show actually was really good.
Oh yeah.
From like 20
20 like 12 or 14 or something like that.
something
I don't
like
remember.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm not sure which ones these are. They're black and white.
Isn't that the Mirage Turtles? The originals?
I don't think so. They might be like the Stan Sakai turtles.
Okay.
But the backup story is with those two, and it's just like a little, almost like a newspaper comic strip, but it is really fun. And speaking of which, that is our one variant. This is by Jim Lawson, and that is the only variant I have to show. Yep.
Nice. Okay, well, I've got Black Panther Intergalactic #2. Sorry. Let me just click this on the. There we go. Black Panther Intergalactic #2. So there's 3 different things going on in this issue, and it's all a little bit confusing. So one of them is that T'Challa is on this mysterious planet. We saw this last issue. He's on this mysterious planet, and he's fighting. So he's fighting the character on the cover here, who has these big tentacle arms, right? But it might not be who you think it is, and I'll just leave it at that. There's also a fake T'Challa on Wakanda Prime who has a conversation with M'Baku and then takes off to do something. I'm not quite sure what. And then there's also the storyline of Shuri searching for T'Challa, but I'm not really sure what she's doing specifically. She's running around with a kid, and a lot of this has to do with the kid's father, and it's a little bit hard for me to keep track of. And the fact that there's 2 T'Challas, there's a real one and a fake one, and it's a little bit confusing to me. But just want to let you know, I do like the cover and how the cover isn't what you think it is. So that was a neat little twist. But there's our A cover right here, and that's the only one we have.
Well, next up, real quickly, talk about The Darkness #2. This was a really fun issue where we have our main character, Darkness. What's his first name?
Jackie Estacado.
Jackie. I keep wanting to say Joey Estacado. Joey from Friends is the
Right.
Darkness. Jackie goes to see Jenny, his friend from when he was a kid, who's all grown up now. Her family doesn't like him at all, but he wants to go with her back to kind of the orphanage that they grew up in together. But while he's out with her, he starts having some kind of like waking visions of kind of Lovecraftian like tendrils going around the city and things happening. Only for not that to happen, but people around him are getting attacked by an unseen force. He can see it,
Yeah.
and realizes it's this kind of angelic force that we saw in the first issue.
That was pretty neat because the girl he's with, she's like, "What? How is that guy floating in air?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "You can't see that."
Yeah. So it's a pretty action-packed issue. And he's like, we got to get somewhere with shadows, and
Right,
that's
yeah.
really cool because then he just kind of unleashes from there. But I thought it was a really fun second issue of The Darkness. And we've got our A cover here, and we have a variant by Jason Sean Alexander.
All right, I've got Daredevil and Punisher, The Devil's Trigger #3. And in this one, Daredevil is questioning a crime boss about the whereabouts of some other crime bosses. But of course, the Punisher interrupts that conversation, trying to kill the crime boss that Daredevil's talking to, which of course leads the Punisher and Daredevil to start fighting each other again. A little bit after that, there's this FBI agent who asks Daredevil to talk to the Punisher to say, right, because they right, they just got finished fighting, but now the FBI is like, hey, can you talk to him? The FBI wants they want Daredevil to ask the Punisher to kind of stay out of their way while they're investigating these various crime bosses, and he's going around killing them all, so they can't get any information. So Daredevil agrees to do this, but he doesn't know how to reach the Punisher. He doesn't know where he is or how to contact him. So as Matt Murdock, he reaches out to Misty Knight because he knows that she knows how to get in touch with the Punisher. And yes, I guess I really want to see that conversation. Hopefully next issue, be like, hey, dude, can you cool it just a little bit? Let the FBI do what they're going to do. Of course, the Punisher's not going to go along with that, but yeah, I think this is a 5-issue miniseries, so we're halfway through at this point. But this is our A cover right here, and we have this Parator variant, and we have this really nice Clayton Crane variant. I like that one a lot.
Next up, just want to mention Star Wars issue 9 is out this week. This is the penultimate issue of our Star Wars book. We still have got no word on any future Star Wars stuff. So this full of action, full of all the characters finally coming together. But yeah, we don't know what is on the horizon yet for Star Wars books. So just wanted to mention that the penultimate issue is out.
All right, so next up, I didn't even have time to put my books
Nope.
out on the thing. We have X-Men number 24. Now, this is still dealing with the fallout, the aftermath of the Age of Revelation. The X-Men are not in this book at all. The whole thing is about 3K. We do finally get a confirmation about who the chairman really is, although we pretty much knew who it was after the very last page of the Age of Revelation finale. But he tells 3K about the future, about what he saw in the Age of Revelation, and maybe he wants to replicate that. Maybe he wants to bring that about himself. So he gives 3K a new objective, and we'll have to go from there. But yeah, so yeah, but it's really, if you don't know who the chairman is, if you read the finale issue, you do know. But it's confirmed here. We do get to see him, and I'm really excited to see like that story come about.
Yeah.
This has been a really cool aftermath of Age of Revelation. So that's our A cover right there. And we have this Joshua Cassara 250th anniversary of America variant with old Ben Franklin down there with lightning on the kite.
And I've got Superman Unlimited number 9. This is just a really fun issue, but wanted to point out because we have a first appearance in here of a new character called Prankster. That's a legacy kind of villain title from way back when, but a new character taking it on. And they seem to be, where the Prankster before was kind of like Trickster or whatever. They use a lot of gadgets and everything. This one seems to have some more otherworldly powers and are causing mischief all across Metropolis. Superman's having to deal with that, and they're very almost like a Golden Age Superman
Mm.
things. Like Clark goes to a baseball game, but suddenly everyone in the audience starts throwing baseballs at someone on the field, and they can't help it. They have to do it, and so that's really fun. It does feel very classic Superman, but you do have the first appearance of that prankster, what they look like, and we do find out maybe what their deal is,
Yeah.
which is pretty fun in here. So we've got our A cover for that, and
There's a panel of Superman just going, "What is your deal?"
yeah,
You know?
well, occasionally you just gotta ask.
Yeah.
And we have this Clayton Henry variant as well. And there's a little gold Superman in this one as well.
Oh yeah, nice. All right, so now it's time to enter the Speed Force round. This is where we talk about a few more books, but we do it a little bit more quickly. Normally, we don't show variants, but I accidentally pulled some variants, so since I have them, I'll just show them to you real quick. But the first one here is Alien versus Captain America number 3. In this issue, we get some backstory about the Kree's first encounter with the Xenomorphs. We get Hydra attacking the Allied forces by dropping Xenomorphs on them, which is great. Captain America and Bucky and Nick Fury and everybody he's hanging out with, they learn what the Red Skull's plan is, and it's really crazy. The last page is really crazy, and we see a little bit of it, I think, on the cover to the next issue.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a really cool issue there. So that's the A cover, and this is the ACO variant.
Well, I've got Wiccan Witches Road number 2. I know a lot of people really enjoyed this. This sees Wiccan get a little bit of an upgrade, even though he doesn't have his powers. That's what this whole thing is about, is him trying to get his powers back to save Teddy. He does get a pretty significant upgrade to his look and everything.
Oh, okay.
And he does step out onto the Witches Road, and it's only a couple steps in before he runs into trouble. So if you enjoyed the first issue, definitely pick out the second one.
We've got Thor number 6, which is another action-packed issue. I've been loving this series so far. I don't really remember the end of the last issue, so I don't really remember how we got to where we are in here. But the whole issue is Sigurd Jarlsson, who is, depowered Thor, basically, fighting Cobra, like the villain Cobra, the Marvel villain Cobra, in the reptile section of an aquarium or someplace like that. He's trying to save the security guard that Cobra has tied up around some snakes, and it involves Sigurd taking his hammer that's tied to a rope and throwing it and smashing windows and smashing faces, and another action-packed issue. And I think it's really fun. That's the A cover, and that is the really awesome Philip Tan variant.
Just briefly want to mention that the Beauty number 3 is out. Probably, I think either the first episode. I think the first episode is what, the 21st.
It's soon, yeah.
Yeah, of the FX show. So we're right at the cusp of that, and just continues to be a fun, creepy story. Great art by Emma Lupacchio. So if you've been enjoying that, we've got our 3rd issue of that. And I do have a variant for that to show.
Oh, nice.
It's the Lupacchio variant.
We've got Ghost Pepper number 7. In this one, Ash finally talks publicly about Batar being a fraud, and that Ash was actually the one to defeat the Great Cinder. And, they're in this town. They got to this town last issue. So he tells the townsfolk there that, hey, Batar is a fraud, and you need to stop, spending all your time and energy gathering up offerings for him, which, of course, the townspeople love. And there's also the added element of Vex, who is like a one of Ash, a friend of his from a long time ago. She locates him, and I think it's going to make for a really cool confrontation next issue. So this book just continues to be really interesting. Great artwork. I love it. That's the A cover. This is the Hill variant, and there is a Chong 1 in 10 variant that we're selling for $10.
Yeah, and the first volume of that is out now, so you can pretty much catch up on Ghost Pepper with that first volume.
Highly recommended too.
Yeah. And I just got to mention that we have our 10th printing of Absolute Batman. This is the Inyuk Lee cover. Yeah. So
there's an A cover or two, I believe, but that one was.
This one is different than the. I think the other one just looks like the regular,
That's right. Yeah.
The original number 1 cover. But we have the Inyuk Lee variant, which is awesome. It also looks like a statue.
Yeah.
Maybe Inyuk Lee's really pushing for some Inyuk Lee signature statue series, but it's awesome. So that is one of the covers, and there is also a foil edition of that.
Yeah. Number 1, 10th printing. That's crazy. 10 printings.
Yeah.
Almost no book goes to 10 printings. A couple do, but almost none of them. This one is Spider-Man and Wolverine number 9. This is the next to last issue of this series as well. Spider-Man and Wolverine face off against Arachnix, who is this bad guy right here on the cover. And also the team of heroes that are on this weird Earth that they're on. They do gain the upper hand, but it's not over yet, so more to come there. That's our A cover, and I believe that's the only one we have for that one. And then the last one, you're out, right?
Yep.
The last one for me is Ultimate Black Panther number 24. This is the final issue. So this is the first of the final Ultimate issues, I guess, because none of the rest of them are finished yet, but they almost are. And there's not really any big final battle or anything like that, but it does put a nice little bow on the whole series. But it still feels like there is a lot more story they could tell.
Yeah, you said it feels more like the end of a chapter 1 than it does the end of a series.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's still so much they could tell. And the fact that it's ending is still really puzzling, or maybe it's not ending. Who knows? But yeah, so it does wrap up these series of Ultimate Black Panther pretty well. But I feel like there's just more they could do with it, even after what they establish in here. But
there may be some stuff with Killmonger where you understand why he's in Ultimate Endgame, but not really addressed. Just like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's our A cover for that one, and we also have this Marcos Martin variant as well.
And that is it.
That's it.
It's a pretty interesting week of books, a kind of a smattering of everything. Stuff from events and new number 1s, especially from Marvel, a lot of X-Men number 1s. So if you want any of this, head over to infinityflux.net right now. While supplies last, you can go ahead and order these books so you're not worried about them selling out on Wednesday when everybody rushes in here. It's a madhouse, as my mom would say. And you'll already have yours set aside for you in your pull box, or if you are somewhere else, it will be mailed off to you, so you'll be all set. Stay tuned for our next video coming up on Wednesday. This next FOC is going to be another big one with some pretty heavy hitting stuff.
If you are local, starting on Wednesday, we're having a big back issue sale.
Yep.
It's going to run Wednesday through the weekend, I believe. And it's like back issues. How does it work? Back issues are $3 on Wednesday, but then on Thursday they're $2, and then by the time we get to the weekend, they're $1 each, I believe. Something like that. Check the website.
Yeah.
Or our Instagram. Has a lot of information about it too.
For sure. So, again, make sure to like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Check out all the other videos we have on our channel. And until next time,
See ya.